Okay, Recons video on Sunday the 12th of October 2025, just gone 4:47 a.m. Chicago time. Do hope you are doing well. So it's the weekend, time for another weekend futures market recap where I go through 15 of the largest futures markets and I show you what I'm seeing on my charts. Well, we finally got that signal on the 13,500 tip bar chart of the E-mini to go short. But 250 points on the downside. Whoa, that was not expected. And we've ended up with quite a bad day in terms of destruction of capital across a whole bunch of markets, the equities markets, the crypto markets, and so on. So I'm going to give you my thoughts this weekend. I do hope everybody is doing okay. We can have nice little day trades and swing trades that end up being profitable. But if you're like me holding long-term large positions, equities and cryptos, they're off from those highs by quite a bit. I'm not worried just because I don't think the market's topped out in terms of equities or cryptos. And in fact, on my charts, what I see is 2 or 3 markets are now for sale. And we'll see if the professionals step in at those lows, hold those lows, and gradually push back up. So it's not all gloom and doom, and on the way down we'll have really good trading opportunities. The more volatility there is in the market, the cleaner the signals, the larger the moves. In some ways, weaknesses in markets are easier markets to trade because they trade off quicker and the signals are sharper. So I'll try and show you what I'm seeing on my charts first. We'll talk about the E-mini first. And just to reiterate, I mean, I've been saying this for weeks and weeks, we're still in an uptrend on equities. It's a question of where the professionals will step in. So there's a couple of things to show you on the daily chart here. The last time the professionals were active were down at the lows at 5,200. Blue professional bars, exhaustion sells, the background's in blue. That's super important. We need to see something like the reverse of that and to show that the equities market has topped out. We have no blue professional bars at the highs. We don't have exhaustion buy patterns, and we're overshooting on the cyclical patterns here on better sign. We've been overshooting resistances on the intermediate and the lowest time frame here. The market is still strong. I'll be worried when we see blue professional bars here on the daily chart and we're bouncing off resistances, not cruising through them. So what does this mean? I think what we'll have is we'll have a sell-off until we're caught by cyclical patterns on the daily chart here, probably the lowest or maybe the intermediate time frame here, between somewhere where we are here and this resistance on the highest time frame. That'll allow us to put in a pullback to end of trend on the intermediate time frame on the daily chart here. And when we go through 6,800, that's when you're more likely to get the euphoria that'll bring this blow-off move, where you'll get exhaustion buys, you'll have blue professional bars taking profits, saying, no, time for me to step in and take profits. So that's the next level down, is support on the daily chart as these cyclical levels come together. That'll be the first test. If we overshoot that, then the next one is when these levels here on the intermediate time frame that are parallel at the moment come down and together and catch that. So those are the next 2 levels to watch on the downside. Probably see blue professional bars as well to generate those blue professional bars, maybe an exhaustion pattern as well. So there's some trouble to the downside, definitely, but those are just going to be opportunities to get short on the bounces that we see. And I'll show you on the 13,500 tip bar chart what I'll be looking for when those bounces happen. 135-minute chart, again, pullback to end of trend. This is just on the lowest time frame. This is like a left shoulder that we've made. We've been here before. We've been here there. I think this one is on the lowest time frame again. And we've just pushed through resistances on these 2 time frames. So, yep, we had trouble here. But note that we still pushed through the resistance lines here, so the market is still strong. So what we're looking for is to be caught. Maybe it's going to be the intermediate time frame where we come down, or the highest time frame on this chart. You can see these have been parallel for a long time, meaning that that's just a trending move. Those will start to come together, move down to minus 100. Is it going to be this level between here and the 6,300 where we find that bottom? Blue professional bars come in, maybe generate an exhaustion sell signal and bounce from there. So we'll have to wait and see, but it's not all over until we see these cyclical crosses coming in and the blue professional down bars. 45-minute chart. So here, let's squeeze this up a little bit. This chart, yep, we did make pullback to end of trend on the lowest time frame, on the intermediate time frame, and the low again here. So that's like a left shoulder, the right shoulder. We've triggered there. Here, we're waiting for the cyclical support on the highest time frame to come together at those lows. Blue professional bars, the first ones, were getting short on this move. They're starting to get interested in the lows there. Exhaustion buy at this point was ending the move, and then we just kept on creeping up and up and up with weaker and weaker momentum. And this exhaustion sell was the first blush of profit taking. We got to go see exhaustion sell on the downside, and we've moved through these support levels. So this is the trailing stop on better pram. This has got to go flip to the downside, and we've got to go see support on the highest time frame on the 45-minute chart coming in. So we've got some moves on the downside to make until all of those patterns start to come together. And then the 15-minute chart. Here we add the vertical solid yellow lines for the beginnings and the ends of the week. We didn't end up with blue professional bars on this chart. We did on 13,500, but it was just amateur patterns at those highs. Blue professional bars here, exhaustion sell, we bounce from there, but Rambo pattern comes in. Poor old amateurs being wrong-footed. It's a squeeze pattern with the cyan blue box, meaning that the support and resistance lines and price are really tight together. We move out of that into a trending move. That's what we got on the Friday. And on this move here, we've not really had exhaustion sell yet. Yep, blue professional bars at the beginning of the move, getting short, some profit taking, and positioning at the end of the move there. So they're interested. A whole bunch of blue professional bars coming in there. But on this chart here, we've crashed through supports on the low and the intermediate. We've not seen pullback to end of trends yet, and that's what I'm looking for on the 13,500 tip bar chart. So first of all, let's look at better pro-am, better momentum here with this week's trade. Beginning of the week, we have a little bit of blue professional bars, not at the highs, backgrounds in blue. We got a signal short, but it went nowhere. That was not enough activity. We needed to come back up Wednesday, Thursday into blue professional bars. We see all the blue boxes. That's professionals at highs taking profits. The backgrounds in blue. We got a bunch of signals there, and there's our signal short Thursday into Friday. And we test briefly, and then we sell off, and no blue professional bars coming at the end of the day. I switch off on better pro-am. We've got an exclude time setting. I'm not interested in the size of the trades in the last 25 minutes or so on the E-mini, just because they're always high every day, and it skews the calculations for the average trade size on better pro-am. So yeah, there was definitely professional activity at the end of the day, but I'm excluding that. I want to see professional activity during the day to give these signals that are a lot cleaner there. So we'll have to wait and see for that. Exhaustion sells, no, we're not close to that minus 20,000 level there. I'm sure we'll get that. We're going to get some follow through in the first few days of next week, but we got to go see exhaustion sells, blue professional bars before this move is all over. And what I'm looking for is resistances that come in on the cyclical trades here. So 13,500 tip bar chart, this is what we dropped through. We came back up, nice pullback to end of trend this week. That's the beginning of the week. Pullback to end of trend, pullback to end of trend, sinking up on the lowest time frame there with those highs. But we're still pushing through resistances. This is what I mean. It's like we're pushing through resistances here. So it shows the market is strong. Here, the same thing. There's smaller pushes, but we still get them pushing through resistances. We test and we bounce. No pushing through resistance here. We have a cyclical resistance comes in and we immediately bounce from there. That shows the market's still strong. That shows it's over. And so that's what we're looking for, even if you look on the daily chart here. These patterns where we're pushing through, it's when we get bounces that I'm worried. So at some point the professionals will come and hold this, push it back up, and we'll get through 6,800 again. But on the downside here, we've got to see exhaustion sells, pull back to end of trend, because we've not made those yet on the intermediate and the highest time frame. Not even on the lowest time frame here. You can see the last one was mid-move and we just kept on crashing through supports there. So on those retraces, the next important one is going to be the intermediate time frame, where we come back, make pullback to end of trend. That resistance on the intermediate time frame will be a good trading opportunity, and then when we come back up again for the pullback to end of trend on the highest time frame here, that'll be another opportunity short. So we're not done on the downside here, I'm afraid, but that just means we'll have trading opportunities to play on the downside in the next 2 or 3 days. So there we go. There's some thoughts on the E-mini. Let's talk about the setups. We had 5 setups that we saw lining up in last weekend's video. We had British pound, Aussie dollar, 10 years and Bitcoin, and then corn. Not going to talk about the softs. They're not important at the moment. The big markets and the big currencies are important. But let's talk about the 10-year first of all. So last week's activity, what we saw in the 10-year, was blue professional bars coming in midweek with exhaustion sell, and we seemingly raced away from there. But we ended up with a Rambo pattern, and we weakened, and we come back down at the end of the week. We started off the beginning of the week with another Rambo patterns down here, so the amateurs getting wrong-footed. Nasty little trap trade down there, but then coming into Friday's trade, there are the blue professional bars stealthily coming in on that test. Squeeze pattern, and we rocket out of there. So the 10 years took a little bit of fussing around before finally triggering long, and we're in long in 10 years at the moment. Bitcoin, we had the short setup. So at the end of last week, we had exhaustion buy, blue professional bars super high, backgrounds in blue, big pro bars coming in here, and then the week we just tested into those highs, finally got our signal short, and then it really collapsed on Friday. 126 down to 108, I think so, a 15% move from those highs. But this is where I'm talking about markets that are on sale. This looks like something, these levels, that long-term holders, people that have a long-term bullish view on Bitcoin, look at a sell-off down to 108 as being an excellent opportunity. I was always a little bit wary of this rally that we had. We had a nice signal 2 or 3 weeks ago on Bitcoin, but you see it didn't come with a whole bunch of blue professional bars. The background wasn't in blue. We just had an exhaustion sell, bullish divergence, flush patterns there, and some blue professional bars at the lows. We got our signal, but it didn't have a lot of conviction. It's like, this looks to me like it's got more conviction, where the background's in blue, super high average trade size, exhaustion sells, bullish divergence coming in here at 108. So obviously it's got a test, it's got a break through the trailing stop, which will probably come back down. So let's see as we come back into that 108 level over the next few days, does that hold? And people say, this is Bitcoin on sale, I can't believe my luck, I'm jumping in. Similar type thing with Ethereum. We didn't get a signal last week, but let's talk about Ethereum at the same time as Bitcoin. This one did have conviction 2 weeks ago at 3,800. The big pro bars came in here. We got our signal long. And at those highs, unlike Bitcoin, where there was profit taking by the big pros here, we didn't have that on Ethereum. We just had blue professional bars at those highs with some boxes and signals, and we got a signal, nice signal short, 4,600 down to 3,600. But here again, this is more conviction down here. This is people that are looking for long-term holds in Ethereum saying, whoopee, I've got a significant sell-off here. Ethereum's on sale. Now, British pound. Yeah, British pound, I was wrong on this. We never broke through 135. At the end of last week, we had bullish divergence. It was playing off exhaustion sell, getting the move going. And this is more like a killing fields pattern where the professionals forced it up and used this opportunity, this area here, to get short. There's our exhaustion buy. We roll over blue professional bars and we crash to the lows. So here, blue professional bars at 33 have come in. No exhaustion sell at that point, but we're about to trigger, if we get through these highs, we'll trigger a long signal on British pound, which is interesting. Not sure if we're going to have to go see exhaustion sell. Wait and see on that. Aussie dollar was also at the end of last week looking interesting because we had a couple of blue professional bars setting up here, but really all it did was test into those highs at 66.5. Finally got our exhaustion buy at that point, big pro bars here, forcing the market up, and then it sold off. But now we've got the reverse. This is looking a little bit more constructive than British pound. We've got the exhaustion sell, the bullish divergence, the big pro bars coming in here. So let's see this week if Aussie dollar starts to signal. Euro's already signaled, so I'm in long euro at the moment based on this because, and euro is maybe acting like a carry trade where we get reversal of the carry trade because of the low interest rates in Europe. It's almost been a funding currency like the Japanese yen has been for a few decades. Here we have exhaustion sell, some professional bars step in, but then as soon as we start breaking that trailing stop, big pro bars come in here. So we need to get back up through 1670, 80 up here to get confirmation that that's on its way. But that's interesting on the euro. And here's Japanese yen, which is like the carry trade unwind. So into those lows, big pro bars come in here and here. And then we get exhaustion buy, getting the move going, get our signal, and it's breaking out. So Japanese yen is an uptrend at the moment. And then gold, another market that potentially looks like it's on sale. So this week's activity, We got up to almost 4,100. Down here at the lows at 38.6 or 38.50. Exhaustion sell, blue professional bars, backgrounds in blue, and that rocketed off to the upside. Yeah, we get some big pro bars coming in here, but not like this and not like this. So on this sell-off this week, 39.50 down here, that's interesting. We got our signal short. So like Bitcoin, Ethereum, gold is acting as if that was a good place to step in. Not so sure on silver. Silver got to $50 this week. Well done for the long-term hodlers of silver. Here, I'm not sure. We got big pro bars coming in on this move and this move. It's not a classic. We like to see them down here and down here with an exhaustion sell, and this topped out with 50. So that's not interesting yet, I would suggest. And lastly, natural gas. So this is starting to signal at the end of the week. So again, natural gas seems to move between these really important price markers, the $4, the $3. So we're down at 310. And we topped out with exhaustion buy, then blue professional bars come in, get the signal short. This one we don't have enough blue professional bars to end that move, and this is getting the move going. But then by the time we get to 310, exhaustion sell, big pro bars come in here. It's not triggered long yet, but natural gas is looking interesting. So there we go, rip around the charts. If you're feeling a little bit blue because we're off our highs in terms of balance sheet highs being made, there are always opportunities in the market. We've got some markets that are on sale, and we'll see how they develop over the next week. People pick them up and say, I've got myself a bargain. And on the downside on equities, I still think there's some nice trades to be had on the bounces going down until the equities market bottoms. So there we go, some thoughts for this weekend. Looking forward to next week's trade.